हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, वेलकम टू आवर चैनल पैसिफिक आईएएस। तो हमारे इस चैनल पैसिफिक आईएएस में आपका स्वागत है। हम लोग ने अब तक हमारे क्लासेस में क्या क्या डिस्कस किया है। हमने इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन कंप्लीट कर लिया है। ओके, वी हैव कंप्लीटेड इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन। इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन वी हैव कंप्लीटेड इट। नाउ वी हैव टू डिस्कस अबाउट द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर, दैट इज द वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन। तो हम लोग हमारा नेक्स्ट चैप्टर वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन डिस्कस करेंगे। तो वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन, सो बिफोर एंटरिंग इनटू द टॉपिक, वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन के बारे में आपको एक्सप्लेन करने से पहले मैं आपको एक क्रोनोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर बता देना चाहती हूँ कि हम लोग क्या क्या इस वैदिक एज के चैप्टर में पढ़ने वाले हैं। ओके, व्हाट आर वी गोइंग टू स्टडी इन दिस वैदिक एज चैप्टर, दैट आई विल गिव यू इन अ क्रोनोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर. If possible, please write it down. Okay, so first in Vedic age, in Vedic age we will discuss about first the nomenclature. Okay, second we'll discuss about the after nomenclature we'll discuss about the origin. Okay, we'll discuss about the origin and the debates regarding its origin. Okay, we'll discuss about the origin, and the debates regarding the origin. Then after that we'll discuss about the classification of Vedic age. Then geographical extent. See, this classification of Vedic age, we'll see it elaborately, but just to mention here, we'll classify the Vedic age into early Vedic age and the later Vedic age. Okay, हमने वैदिक एज को अर्ली वैदिक एज और लेटर वैदिक एज में क्लासिफाई कर लिया है, और हम लोग ये जो जोग्राफिकल एक्सटेंट है वो पढ़ेंगे अर्ली वैदिक एज का. ओके, फ्रॉम हियर विल स्टडी अबाउट द अर्ली वैदिक एज. देन फिफ्थ विल स्टडी अबाउट द पॉलिटी of the early Vedic age. Then after polity we'll study the society. Polity के बाद society पढ़ेंगे. In society we'll study the nature of society. Then after nature of society we'll study about the divisions in society, various divisions present in society. Then after that religious conditions. Then position of women. Then after this we'll study economy. In economy we'll study about agriculture and trade and commerce. And at last we'll study, last in the chapter of early Vedic age. Okay, early Vedic age के chapter में हम लोग last पढ़ेंगे ऋग्वेदिक gods के बारे में. Okay, ऋग्वेदिक gods के बारे में हम लोग पढ़ेंगे. तो ये रहा क्रोनोलॉजी, हम लोग किस तरह से और किस प्रकार में अर्ली वैदिक एज और लेटर वैदिक एज पढ़ेंगे. नेक्स्ट हम लोग ऋग्वेदिक गॉड्स पढ़ने के बाद हमारा जो 9th पार्ट रहेगा वो रहेगा लेटर वैदिक एज और फिर लेटर वैदिक एज के पॉलिटी, सोसाइटी, इकोनॉमी, ये भी पढ़ेंगे हम लोग। सो पॉलिटी, सोसाइटी, इकोनॉमी पढ़ेंगे। 10th पार्ट हम लोग पढ़ेंगे कंपैरेटिव स्टडी। ओके, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, कंपैरेटिव स्टडी ऑफ अर्ली वैदिक एज विथ लेटर वैदिक एज। हम लोग पहले तो अर्ली वैदिक एज पूरा कंप्लीट करेंगे, उसके बाद लेटर वैदिक एज कंप्लीट करेंगे और उसका एक कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस भी पढ़ेंगे। ये कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस बिटवीन अर्ली वैदिक एज एंड लेटर वैदिक एज। ओके, देन 11th हम लोग पढ़ेंगे वैदिक गॉड्स, वैदिक लिटरेचर। विल स्टडी अबाउट 11th we'll study about Vedic literature. Then last topic will be a comparative study of Indus Valley civilization and Vedic civilization. This is a very important area because in your prelims examination we usually get questions from this part of the area. Compare like some points they will be compared. Okay, religion of Indus Valley civilization will be compared with Vedic civilization. The knowledge of metal of Indus Valley people, it will be compared with the वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन। सो ये एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया है। और जो भी मैक्सिमम हम लोग यूपीएससी के क्वेश्चंस देखे हैं वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन में, वो यूजुअली 2 एरिया से बहुत ज़्यादा आए हैं। एक है सोशो एंड रिलीजियस कंडीशन, सोशल एंड रिलीजियस कंडीशन ऑफ वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन, और कंपैरेटिव स्टडी बिटवीन इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन एंड वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन। ये 2 एरिया से क्वेश्चन ज़्यादा आए हैं। इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम लोग दूसरे एरियाज नहीं पढ़ेंगे, क्योंकि सोशियो इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस और क्या बोलते हैं कंपैरेटिव स्टडी करने के लिए, सोशियो इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस समझने के लिए और कंपैरेटिव स्टडीज़ पढ़ने के लिए भी पॉलिटी, इकोनॉमी, सोसाइटी ये भी पढ़ना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। ओके, ज्योग्राफी, ये सभी पढ़ना बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है। इसीलिए हम लोग ये सब पढ़ने के बाद अपने प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस में हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे। आप प्लीज़ ये मत समझिए कि ओके मैडम अब प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस तो टॉपिक के साथ अटैच नहीं करिए, मैडम डिस्कस करेगी कि नहीं, हम लोग एक अलग ही सीरीज़ लाने वाले हैं प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस, प्रीलिम्स और मेंस का। हम लोग मेंस के आंसर्स भी डिस्कस करेंगे और प्रीलिम्स के लिए आपको एक्सप्लेनेशन के सहा आपसे डिस्कस करेंगे। ओके, तो ये रहा एक क्रोनोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर in which we are going to discuss our classes, okay, especially the classes related to Vedic civilization. So let's just start the topic. Okay, first topic was nomenclature. So what is the name of the civilization which we are studying about? Vedic civilization. हम लोग क्या पढ़ने जा रहे हैं? Vedic civilization. See, this Vedic civilization, it is also known as Aryan civilization. Okay, Vedic civilization को आर्यन सिविलाइजेशन के नाम से भी जाना जाता है। वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन इट इज ऑल्सो नोन एज आर्यन सिविलाइजेशन। सो फर्स्ट विल लर्न अबाउट व्हाई इज इट कॉल्ड वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन। इस पर्टिकुलर सिविलाइजेशन को वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन क्यों कहा जाता है? क्योंकि जो इम्पोर्टेंट सोर्सेस है इस सिविलाइजेशन को जानने के लिए वो है वेदास। ओके, सो वेदास दे आर अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट सोर्स फॉर अस टू नो अबाउट दिस पर्टिकुलर civilization. So as Vedas are very important source, this particular civilization it is known as Vedic civilization. So what are those Vedas? We have 4 Vedas, right? What are those? One is Rig Veda. We'll discuss them elaborately when we are discussing Vedic literature. हम लोग जब Vedic literature discuss करेंगे, मैं आपको हर एक वेदा में क्या क्या important है, कौन से एरिया से क्वेश्चन पूछे जा सकते हैं प्रीलिम्स या मेंस में, वो हम लोग एलॉबरेटली डिस्कस करेंगे जब हम वैदिक लिटरेचर डिस्कस करेंगे। ओके, देन ऋग्वेदा, यजुर्वेदा, सामवेदा एंड अथर्ववेदा. So these are the 4 important Vedas. What are those? Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda and Atharva Veda. These Vedas, they help us to know about the Vedic civilization. What is the, इतना मैं बार बार वैदिक वेदा बोल रही हूँ, इसका मतलब क्या है? First of all, the word Ved means to know something, okay? To know. It is called Ved means to know and Veda means knowledge. Ved means to know and Veda means to knowledge. The Veda means knowledge, Ved means to know. So this was it. This was about the nomenclature regarding the Vedic civilization. Now we'll talk about what is meant by Aryan. Okay, why this particular civilization is called Aryan civilization? Because the people who lived here, they were Aryans. So on behalf of that, their names only, based on their names, it is known as Aryan civilization. So who were Aryans? ये Aryans है कौन? Okay, Aryans. See, Aryan, it is a word taken from the Sanskrit word Arya. Arya एक संस्कृत वर्ड है जिसका मतलब होता है नोबल मैन. ओके, नोबल. ओके, नोबल, समथिंग विच इज नोबल, इट इज कॉल्ड आर्या. एंड आर्यन मीन्स what is the meaning of Aryan? Aryan is a person, or historically, okay, historically if you take the word Aryan means a person who speaks Aryan languages. Okay, Aryan means a person speaking Aryan languages. पर्सन हु स्पीक्स आर्यन लैंग्वेजेस ही इज नोन एज आर्यन. इससे आपको क्या पता चलता है कि आर्यन, ओके, यूजुअली वी थिंक दैट आर्यन इज अ रेशियल ग्रुप. आर्यंस को हम एक रेशियल ग्रुप मानते हैं, बट आर्यंस आर नॉट रेशियल ग्रुप्स. ओके, आर्यंस आर नॉट रेशियल ग्रुप्स, दे आर लिंग्विस्टिक ग्रुप. आर्यंस है ना, वो एक लिंग्विस्टिक ग्रुप है. आर्यंस जो है वो एक लिंग्विस्टिक ग्रुप है, ना कि रेशियल ग्रुप है. ओके, आर्यंस. सो दिस वाज अबाउट द आर्यंस. लिंग्विस्टिक ग्रुप, लिंग्विस्टिक ग्रुप मीन्स आर्यन लैंग्वेजेस. पीपल हु स्पीक आर्यन लैंग्वेजेस आर नोन एज आर्यंस. सो व्हाट आर दीज आर्यन लैंग्वेजेस? आर्यन लैंग्वेजेस आर नथिंग बट इंडो यूरोपियन लैंग्वेजेस. इंडो यूरोपियन लैंग्वेजेस आर नोन एज आर्यन लैंग्वेजेस. सो दिस वॉज अबाउट द नॉमेनक्लेचर गाइस. हमने नॉमेनक्लेचर देख लिया कि आर्यंस का मतलब क्या होता है. उसके बाद हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे द ऑरिजिन ऑफ आर्यंस. ऑरिजिन क्या है? हमने इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन जब डिस्कस किया था तब मैंने आपको बहुत ही सारी डिबेट्स बताए थे इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन के ऑरिजिन के बेसिस के ऊपर. ओके, मतलब उसके ऑरिजिन जानने के लिए कितने सारे डिबेट्स हैं, कितनी सारी थीरीज हैं, वो हमने हमारे प्रीवियस लेक्चर्स में डिस्कस किए. अब इस लेक्चर में हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे आर्यंस के ऑरिजिन के रिगार्डिंग क्या क्या थीरीज है. ओके, व्हाट आर द डिफरेंट थीरीज रिगार्डिंग द ऑरिजिन ऑफ आर्यंस. आर्यंस मतलब मैंने जो आपको ये जो आपको इंडो यूरोपियन लैंग्वेजेस के बारे में बताया था, पहले उसका एक ब्रीफ इंट्रोडक्शन ले लेते हैं. ओके, इन 1786, ओके, in 1786 there was a person, okay, there was a person whose name was William Jones, Sir William Jones. So in 1786 there was a person called, sorry, okay, in 1786 there was a person called William Jones and he was a philologist. So he is a philologist. See, philologist is a person who knows many languages. Philologist वो इंसान है जिसे बहुत सारी languages आती हैं. So William Jones was one of its kind. Okay, he was a philologist and because of his knowledge about different languages, he felt that there is some kind of affinity or there is some kind of similarity between European languages and the language Sanskrit. Okay, जब विलियम जोन्स ने अलग अलग लैंग्वेजेस को पढ़ना शुरू किया तब उन्होंने ये देखा कि संस्कृत लैंग्वेज में और यूरोपियन लैंग्वेज में थोड़े बहुत सिमिलैरिटीज़ उन्हें दिखी. और उन्होंने ये भी बताया कि संस्कृत इट इज़ मोर रिफाइंड एंड इट इज़ मोर कर्टियस देन ग्रीक एंड लैटिन. सो ही लाइक्ड संस्कृत अ लॉट एंड व्हेन ही स्टार्टेड स्टडिंग when he saw that there is some kind of similarity between European languages and Sanskrit languages, he started a comparative study of these two languages. Okay, जब उनको ये पता चला कि थोड़े similarities हैं, थोड़े words बहुत ही similar है ये language groups में, तब उन्होंने एक comparative study करना शुरू किया. Okay, comparative study करना शुरू किया. तो इस comparative study में उन्होंने ये देखा कि see, there is a word called father, mother. Father, mother in English. Okay, father, mother in English. We call pitra. matra in Sanskrit. And in Greek we have a similar word called, in Greek we have pater, mater in Greek. So these are the kind of similarities which he saw. Okay, इन्होंने ये सब similarities उन्होंने observe की कि father mother जो English में है, similar words हमें संस्कृत में पितर और मात्र और पातर और मातर ग्रीक लैंग्वेज में उन्होंने ये ऑब्जर्व किया. इसके अलावा एक और वर्ड है, वी हैव अ वर्ड कॉल्ड अर विच मीन्स प्लव in Sanskrit language. In English language, see English it is part of Indo-European language, okay? And English we have a word called arable, okay? So ये similar words उन्होंने देख के उन्होंने ये conclude किया, okay? Like after doing a comparative analysis, he came to a conclusion that the people who spoke Indo-European languages, they stayed or they in the historic time they used to live at one particular place. मतलब वो ये बताना चाहते थे कि ये सब पढ़ने के बाद मैं ये कंक्लूजन में आया हूँ कि जो भी लोग इंडो यूरोपियन लैंग्वेजेस बात कर रहे हैं उनके जो फोर फादर्स थे वो एक ही जगह से बिलोंग करते थे. ओके, एक ही जगह से बिलोंग करते थे, उनका एक होमलैंड था. जब विलियम जोन्स ने ये आर्यंस होमलैंड का कॉन्सेप्ट लेके आए, उन्होंने जो वो लेके आए, तभी से ये एक सर्च शुरू हो गया कि आर्यंस वे डू दे कम फ्रॉम, आर्यंस जो है वो कहाँ से आते हैं, वो है कौन. और इसके ऊपर ये जानने के लिए बहुत ही सारी थीरीज है. ओके, वी हैव मेनी थीरीज एंड विल डिस्कस सम ऑफ द थीरीज विद supporting and arguing arguments. Okay, first, as I have discussed in our previous slides, Aryan, it is a linguistic group, it is not a racial group. So when I am saying that it is not a racial group, it means that Aryans, they differ from each other. Okay, Aryans, they differ from each other in color and features. सी आर्यंस होने का मतलब ये नहीं है कि सभी आर्यंस एक ही जैसे दिखते थे. ओके, आर्यंस दे डिफर्ड फ्रॉम ईच अदर इन कलर एंड इवन इन फीचर्स, एंड इवन दीज आर्यंस दे डिफर्ड फ्रॉम द लोकल द्रविडियंस, जो भी इंडियंस थे जिसे हम द्रविडियंस कहते हैं, उनसे भी ये आर्यंस कलर और फीचर्स में अलग दिखते थे. तो जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया था कि डिफरेंट थीरीज आई हैं. सो व्हाट वे दीज थीरीज बेस्ड ऑन, किस नॉलेज के ऊपर ये थीरीज बनाई गई थी. नॉलेज ये है ऋग्वेदा. ओके, नॉलेज हमें मिलता है ऋग्वेदा से. इन ऋग्वेदा, ओके, इन ऋग्वेदा आर्यंस हैव मेंशन्ड few things. Okay, and by studying those things we are giving these theories. Okay, क्या क्या है वो. First, Aryans they talk about the climatic conditions which they are familiar with, climatic conditions. So in Rigveda, Aryans they mention that they are usually familiar with cold climatic conditions and even snowfall. They have seen snowfall. Okay, they have seen snowfall. They are not familiar with summer. They are not familiar with summer. Then the plants, okay, the plants which they know, उनको कौन से plants पता है. They know about oak and pine, willow. So these are some of the trees which they have knowledge about. And they have even mentioned about the animals which they are familiar. They are familiar with horses, goats and sheep. So these are some of the animals which they have mentioned. Then apart from that, what was the source of livelihood? Okay, what was the important livelihood practice which they did? That is agriculture and cattle rearing. So ये थे important source of livelihood. So this is some of the information which is mentioned in Rigveda, and by studying this information we have given different theories. Okay, बहुत ही सारी different theories mention की गई हैं जो कि based है ये information के ऊपर. Okay, so first theory, what is the first theory? First theory is the Europe as a homeland of Aryans. Okay, Europe as a homeland. See, most of the Indo-European languages which are spoken, they are spoken in Europe. Okay, जो भी Indo-European languages बात करते हैं वो यूरोप में ज़्यादा है और अपने एशिया के तरफ बहुत कम है. तो ये थीरीज के सपोर्ट करने वाले जो हिस्टोरियंस हैं उनका ये मानना है कि यूरोप इज़ द होमलैंड ऑफ आर्यंस and one of the European branch of Aryans, it had migrated to India and established the Vedic civilization. That is the one theory. Climate is in the favor of Europe, right? In Europe we find cold climatic conditions, and the animals which they have mentioned in the Rig Veda, those are also present in Europe, and even the plants which are mentioned in the Rig Veda, those plants they grow in Europe. So Europe, like historians, they have said that Europe is the homeland of the Aryans, and from Europe they have migrated to different parts of the world. This is the one theory. Then so this was one of the theory in which the historians say that Europe was a homeland of Aryans. Europe, okay, Europe तो आप बता रहे हो, but which country? Europe has many countries, right? Some say that it is Hungary. Some say that it is Germany. Some historians even support the theory of southern Russia. Southern Russia being the place of origin of Aryans. So, and these historians, they say that from Europe, Aryans migrated to Mesopotamia via Caspian Sea, and from there they migrated to India. This was the path which the European branch of Aryans they followed, and they reached India, sorry, not Indus, India, and they established the Vedic civilization. So this is one of the theory. Next theory, it talks about the Central Asian origin of Aryans. Professor Max Muller, okay, Professor Max Muller, he was a person who supported this theory of Central Asian origin of Aryans, because if you see to know about the Aryans, okay, especially early Aryans के बारे में जानने के लिए, okay, to know about the early Aryans, the most important sources are two important sources. What are those? One is the Rig Veda. अर्ली आर्यंस के बारे में जानने के लिए हमारे पास टू इंपॉर्टेंट सोर्स है. एक तो है ऋग्वेदा, दूसरा है ज़ेंद-अवेस्ता. ये क्या है ज़ेंद-अवेस्ता? ज़ेंद-अवेस्ता इज बेसिकली इट इज़ अ होली बुक ऑफ पर्शियंस और ईरानियंस की होली बुक को ज़ेंद-अवेस्ता कहा जाता है. तो अर्ली आर्यंस के बारे में जानने के लिए हमारे पास दो इंपॉर्टेंट सोर्सेस है, जो कि है ज़ेंद-अवेस्ता और ऋग्वेदा. इससे हम लोग और बहुत ही सारी चीज़ें जैसे रिगार्डिंग और आप ये भी देख सकते हैं कि जो ऋग्वेदा और आप ये भी देख सकते हैं कि ऋग्वेदा और ज़ेंद-अवेस्ता में थोड़ी सिमिलैरिटीज़ हैं. ओके, दे आर लाइक मोर सिमिलैरिटीज़ बिटवीन ऋग्वेदा एंड ज़ेंद-अवेस्ता व्हेन इट कम्स टू द नेम्स गिवन टू डिफरेंट एनिमल्स के जो नाम हैं वो, और इवन द सोशल क्लासेस, द नेम्स गिवन टू सोशल क्लासेस, दे आर ऑल्सो like written same in Zen-Avesta and Rigveda. From that we can say that in some point in history, Indians, okay, people like Aryans who migrated to India, those Indians and the दे स्टेड एट वन प्लेस, ओके, वो एक ही जगह सेटल हुए थे हिस्टोरिक टाइम पीरियड में, ओके, हिस्ट्री में कभी ना कभी ये दोनों लाइक आर्यंस एंड Iranians they stayed at one place in the path of migration from Central Asia. मतलब क्या है कि ये सब मैं क्यों एक्सप्लेन कर रही हूँ कि ये सब मैं क्यों एक्सप्लेन कर रही हूँ आपको, मैं आपको ये बताना चाहती हूँ कि सेंट्रल एशिया इज अ ओरिजिन ऑफ इंडियंस एंड इरानियंस. Next we'll discuss about the Central Asian origin of Aryans, okay, Central Asian origin. सेंट्रल एशिया. सो एक फेमस प्रोफेसर है जिसका नाम है मैक्स म्यूलर, ओके. सो प्रोफेसर मैक्स म्यूलर, अकॉर्डिंग टू हिम, ही थिंक्स दैट सेंट्रल एशिया इज द प्लेस ऑफ ऑरिजिन ऑफ आर्यंस. ऑन व्हाट बेसिस इज ही टेलिंग दिस? बिकॉज to know about the early Aryans, okay, to know about the early Aryans, I told you that Rig Veda is a very important source. Apart from Rig Veda, we have a very famous book called Zend Avesta, okay, Zend Avesta. Zend Avesta. Okay, this Zend Avesta, it is a holy book, okay, it is a holy book of Iranians. Not holy book, it is a book of Iranians, okay. So this Zend Avesta, which is a holy book of Iranians, this also mentions about Aryans, okay. And apart from mentioning about Aryans, it has many similarities with Rig Veda. Rig Veda और इसके बीच में बहुत सारी similarities हैं, especially जो नाम animals को दी गए हैं, okay, the names which are with which the animals are called, and even the names of the social classes, those are same between the Zend Avesta and the Rig Veda. So from that we can come to a conclusion and say that at some point in history, Indians and Iranians, they stayed together, okay. Indians and Iranians, they stayed together, and we have other other evidences also to support this. What are those evidences? क्या क्या evidences है? First तो both the cultures they practice agriculture and cattle rearing, okay, agriculture and cattle rearing, okay, both the cultures they practice agriculture and cattle rearing. Then both the cultures they are nature worshippers. Then both the cultures they are aware of horses and goats, okay. They know about domestication, they know about agriculture and cattle rearing, and they even are nature worshipper. So from that we can say that Central Asia could be the place of origin of Aryans. But so जैसे कि हमने देखा कि सेंट्रल एशिया कुड बी द प्लेस ऑफ ऑरिजिन ऑफ आर्यंस. इसके सपोर्ट में हमें थोड़े और चीज़ें हैं बताना चाहती हूँ मैं कि इफ़ यू डू द कंपैरेटिव स्टडी बिटवीन यूरोपियन एंड एशियन लैंग्वेजेस, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ डिफरेंसेस, ओके, देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन यूरोपियन लैंग्वेजेस, बट व्हेन इट कम टू एशियन लैंग्वेजेस द डिफरेंसेस इज माइनर, ओके. दैट शोज दैट Central Asia was the center of origin, and from there migration happened, and Central Asia it is present at the center, and migration was easier, and even in Central Asia we have plants like pine, oak, the grasses about which the Aryans have mentioned in Rig Veda. In Central Asia we have them. So from that we can say that Central Asia is a place of origin of Aryans. But there is some criticism also. People say that it is a very small area. Central Asia, it is a very small area. How do you think it might have accommodated such a large population of Aryans? Aryans का जो इतना population था, कैसे आप समझ सकते हैं कि Central Asia में वो easily fit होते थे? Second, small area, and they don't have knowledge about honey. हनी का उधर हमें कुछ नामो निशानी नहीं मिलता. और these Rigvedic people, they are fond of honey, and no fertile soils. fertile soils are not there in Central Asia. So these are the criticism against this theory, because Aryans they talk about the fertile soils from which they come from. But इसी क्रिटिसिज्म को यूज करते हुए फिर हिस्टोरियंस ने एक सपोर्टिव थ्योरी भी डेवलप की. ओके, इसी क्रिटिसिज्म को यूज करते हुए हिस्टोरियंस ने एक सपोर्टिव थ्योरी में ये कहा कि ओके, what were the reasons for the, like what do you call, migration of Aryans? What could be the reasons for migration of Aryans from their area? Aryans ने उनके होमलैंड से माइग्रेट क्यों किया होगा? फर्स्ट तो इंक्रीज इन पॉपुलेशन, पॉपुलेशन इंक्रीज हुई थी इसीलिए उन्होंने माइग्रेट किया होगा. ओके. सेकेंड, इन सर्च ऑफ प्रोडक्टिव फील्ड्स, देन natural calamities, such as earthquake, floods, famine, starvation, drought. So these could be the natural calamities which pushed the Aryans to migrate from their homeland. Then इसके अलावा क्या हो सकता है माइग्रेशन का रीजन? पॉपुलेशन, प्रोडक्टिव फील्ड्स, नेचुरल कैलामिटीज एंड इवन फॉरेन इन्वेजन्स, foreign invaders. So some other tribe who are foreigners, they might have invaded and they might have pushed the Aryans to migrate from their areas. Okay, these are some of the reasons which could be, like these are some of the things which could be the reason for the migration of Aryans. तो इसमें ये satisfy हो रहा है ना, सेंट्रल एशिया जैसे कि एक छोटा एरिया है, पॉपुलेशन इंक्रीज हुई इसीलिए जो सेंट्रल एशिया के जो रिसोर्सेज थे वो आर्यंस के जो बढ़ती पॉपुलेशन है उसे मतलब उसे सस्टेन नहीं कर पाए, इसीलिए आर्यंस ने माइग्रेशन शुरू कर दिया. सेंट्रल एशिया में इनिशियली शायद अच्छे प्रोडक्टिव फील्ड्स थे, फर्टाइल सॉइल्स थे, बट बिकॉज ऑफ क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस सॉइल की फर्टिलिटी डिक्रीज होगी और सॉइल की फर्टिलिटी डिक्रीज होने की वजह से आर्यंस उधर सस्टेन नहीं कर पाए और उन्होंने माइग्रेशन किया प्रोडक्टिव फील्ड्स के लिए. ओके, सी इसी में आपको दो थीरीज मिल गई. सो वन ऑफ द मोस्ट एक्सेप्टेड थीरी इज द ऑरिजिन ऑफ आर्यंस फ्रॉम सेंट्रल एशिया. आर्यंस दे केम फ्रॉम सेंट्रल एशिया, दैट इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट एक्सेप्टेड थीरी. बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट द अदर थीरीज ऑल्सो. दिस इज अ थीरी गिवन बाय बाल गंगाधर तिलक. This is very important, not the theory but the book in which he has written. Bala Gangadhar Tilak, he in his book Arctic Home of Vedas, okay, बाल गंगाधर तिलक इन उनकी बुक आर्कटिक होम ऑफ वेदास वो कहते हैं कि आर्यंस दे केम फ्रॉम नॉर्थ पोल, दैट इज दे केम फ्रॉम Arctic region. Why? Because Aryans in the Rig Veda they have mentioned about that they are familiar with cold climatic conditions. We have cold climatic conditions in North Pole, and they are familiar with plants like pine, oak, and willows. They are present in the North Pole. Okay, North Pole these plants are grown. So according to Bala Gangadhar Tilak, Aryans they came from Arctic home. Okay, they came from North Pole. Then there is another person called Dayananda Saraswati. Dayananda Saraswati, in his book, see these books they are very important. Okay, in his book Satyarth Prakash, so Dayanand Saraswati in his book Satyarth Prakash, he says that Aryans they might have come from Tibet. So Aryans they came from Tibet, ये उनका मानना था. Tibet, which is a neighboring country of India, Aryans they came from Tibet. ये उनका मानना था. So this was about the different theories. Okay, this was about the different theories talking about the origin of Aryans. And there is even one more theory. Okay, एक और theory है जो बोलती है कि Aryans they were indigenous people of India. They migrated from India to different parts of the world. वो भी एक theory है. Okay, India as a origin. India में भी किधर? पंजाब में. Okay, इस थ्योरी को सपोर्ट करते हुए हिस्टोरियंस ये कहते हैं कि से आर्यंस इन द बुक ऋग्वेदा विच इज एन अर्ली सोर्स फॉर अस टू नो अबाउट द ऋग्वेदिक एज, दे डोंट मेंशन अबाउट माइग्रेशन. आर्यंस ने कभी माइग्रेशन के बारे में बात ही नहीं किया है. They, in the book, they have mentioned about सप्त सिंधु रीजन. ओके, उन्होंने क्या मेंशन किया है कि हम लोग सप्त सिंधु रीजन के आसपास रहते थे. व्हाट इज दिस सप्त सिंधु रीजन? सप्त सिंधु रीजन इंक्लूड्स रीजन्स लाइक पंजाब, प्रेजेंट डे पंजाब, कश्मीर, काबुल, सिंध और कांदाहार. Kandahar. Sorry. So Sapt Sindhu region includes the region of Punjab, Kashmir, Kabul, Sindh and Kandahar present day, and the area it extends from Indus to Saraswati. From Indus to Saraswati river, these people, Rigvedic people or Aryans, they used to live. They have mentioned this in the ऋग्वेदा. सो इधर किधर भी माइग्रेशन का बारे में बात ही नहीं किया है. तो हम लोग ये भी कंक्लूड कर सकते हैं कि आर्यंस इंडियंस थे और वो पंजाब से बिलोंग करते थे. बट दे आर मेनी अदर, लाइक दे आर मेनी क्रिटिसिज्म ऑफ दिस थ्योरी. व्हाट आर दोस क्रिटिसिज्म? इस थ्योरी का क्रिटिसिज्म में पहला क्रिटिसिज्म ये है कि पंजाब का जो मतलब पोजीशन देखेंगे, इट इज़ नॉट प्रेजेंट सेंटर, it is not present in center, so migration is somewhat difficult. Okay, migration to different directions, it is difficult. Second, if you see the culture of Punjab and the European culture, there is no similarity between them. See, if Aryans, they were Indians, they have migrated from India to European countries, there should be some sort of similarity between the European culture, European gods and Indian gods, right? So there is no similarity. So that is a second like criticism. Third important criticism is that if Punjab was third important criticism is if Punjab was the place of origin, then Aryans they should have mentioned about the southern and the eastern regions of India. Okay, but they did not mention in the Rig Veda about the eastern and the southern region. So Punjab could not be the place of origin. Then the animals, elephant and oak plant, they don't grow in Punjab. Okay, we don't find these plants growing in Punjab. Next, Punjab, it is known for its fertile soils. Okay, Punjab, it is known for its fertile soil. And why do you think Aryans will leave fertile soil and go for non-fertile soils? सही है ना? वो इतना अच्छा फर्टाइल सॉइल्स छोड़ के माइग्रेट करके एक नॉन फर्टाइल ड्राई लैंड एरिया में क्यों जाएंगे? सो दीज आर सम ऑफ द क्रिटिसिजम्स. ओके, दीज आर सम ऑफ द क्रिटिसिजम्स फ्रॉम विच वी कैन से दैट पंजाब could not be, okay, Punjab could not be the place of origin of Aryans. So ये रही different theories. Okay, we saw what did we see? One is Europe as a place of origin. In Europe also some say it is Hungary, some say it is southern Russia, some say it is Germany. So different historians quoted different place as a place of origin of Aryans. Then we saw Central Asian theory, which is one of the most accepted theory. Then we saw Aryans came from Arctic region. That was a theory given by Balagangadhar Tilak. Then we even saw the theory given by Dayanand Saraswati, who says that Aryans, they were from Tibet. Then we even saw the theory supporting Punjab or India as a place of origin of Aryans. But even now the research is being carried out based on literature and archaeological evidences. Even now historians and archaeologists are working to know about the ओरिजिनल होमलैंड ऑफ आर्यंस. अभी भी रिसर्च जारी है, तो फ्यूचर में कोई अपडेट मिलेगा तो हम लोग हमारे क्लासेस में अपडेट कर देंगे. तो नेक्स्ट वी हैव टू डिस्कस अबाउट द जोग्राफिकल एक्सटेंट ऑफ द आर्यंस. ओके, जोग्राफिकल एक्सटेंट क्या था? सो आर्यंस, स्पेशली जो अर्ली वैदिक आर्यंस हैं, so this early Vedic Aryans, they are usually present on the Sapta Sindhu region. Okay, Aryans, they are early Vedic Aryans. They were present in the Saptasindhu region. They settled down there. And the Saptasindhu region means the present day Punjab, Kashmir, and then Kabul, Kandahar, and Sindh region. Okay, this is part of Saptasindhu region. So Aryans, they came, they settled down at the Saptasindhu region. And what we can see in Aryans, as I have discussed with you earlier, Aryans, it is a linguistic group. It is not a racial group. In Aryans, they had different kinds of tribes. Okay, Aryans में भी बहुत सारी प्रकार की tribes थी. And these Aryans, they had two different kinds of, like what do you call, two different kinds of what do you call, battles. Okay, usually इनको दो fronts में लड़ाई लड़नी थी. एक तो inter tribe, okay, within the tribe. Okay, within the inter tribe means different tribes of Aryans, they fought with each other for supremacy. For supremacy, different tribes of Aryans, they fought with each other for supremacy. And these Aryans, they even fought with non-Aryans who were Dravidians. Okay, non-Aryans who were Dravidians and Dasas and Dasyus. सो ये दासाज और दस्यूस के साथ भी आर्यंस को लड़ना पड़ता था सुप्रीमेसी के लिए. तो आर्यंस जब सप्त सिंधु रीजन में थे, वो उन्हें ब्रह्मव्रता बोल के बोलते थे. ओके, ब्रह्मव्रता बोलते थे. और उसी ये आर्यंस और नॉन आर्यंस के साथ लड़ने के बाद उन्होंने जब भी अपना एक कंट्रोल एस्टैब्लिश किया नॉर्थ इंडिया में, तब उन्होंने उस एरिया को आर्यवर्ता बोला. ओके, so this was about the geographical extent of the Aryans. Then we have to discuss about the classification of the Vedic age. So Vedic age, okay, Vedic age based on the source, okay, based on the source, that is literature, based on the literature which has been written, and based on the geographical extent, and based on the socio-economic and political conditions, this particular Vedic age, it is divided into two different phases. See, the time period for Vedic age, it is from 1500 BC to 500 BC. So this Vedic age, based on its sources, geographical extent, socio-economic and political conditions, it is divided into two phases. The one is early Vedic age, which is from 1500 to 1000 BC. Then we have later Vedic age. The time period for later Vedic age, it is 1000 BC to 500 BC. सो ये रहा क्लासिफिकेशन. हमने देखा कि किस बेसिस के ऊपर वैदिक एज को टू डिफरेंट फेजेस में डिवाइड किया. एक तो है अर्ली वैदिक एज और दूसरा है वैदिक एज. अर्ली वैदिक एज, सी द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट सोर्स विच वॉज रिटन ड्यूरिंग द अर्ली वैदिक एज, दैट इज ऋग्वेदा. ओके, ऋग्वेदा was written during the early Vedic age. And other than Rigveda, all the Vedic literature, okay, all the Vedic literature, it belongs to, okay, all the Vedic literature other than Rigveda, it belongs to later Vedic age. What does it include? It includes the other three Vedas. What are those? Yajurveda, Samaveda and Atharva Veda. Then we have Upanishads, then we have Vedangas and Brahmanas. Okay, so these books, they belong to the time period of later Vedic age. And then the Rig Veda, it belongs to the early Vedic age. That is the reason why the early Vedic age, it is also known as Rig Vedic age. Early Vedic age को Rig Vedic age भी कहा जाता है. So हम लोग now we'll discuss about the Rig Vedic age. Okay, so Rig Vedic age का जो time period है, see Rig Vedic age को early Vedic age भी कहा जाता है. हमने previous slide में देखा है, मैं फिर से आपके लिए लिख देती हूँ. Okay, Rig Vedic age, it is also known as early Vedic age, and the time period which is given for Rig Vedic age, it is from 1500 BC to 1000 BC. Okay, this is the time period, and the earliest evidence, okay, the earliest evidence to know about the Rig Vedic age, okay, the most important evidence to know about the Rig Vedic age, it is Rig Veda. So Rig Veda earliest evidence है
Rig Veda is a most important source to know about the Rigvedic age. So this Rig Veda, it is the earliest writing in Indo-European language. Okay, Indo-European languages में जो earliest writing है उसमें Rigveda एक है. Okay, one of the oldest we can say. Okay, it is one of the oldest book written in Indo-European languages. So it is Rigveda. See, Rigveda, in Rigveda also we can see the word Arya being mentioned 36 times. Okay, in Rigveda the word Arya is been mentioned 36 times, and Rigveda, it has 1024 hymns. It has more than 1024 hymns, and each hymn it is dedicated to different gods. Okay, mostly the gods of Rigveda, or the gods for whom hymns are dedicated in Rigveda, they are first Indra, Varuna, Mitra, and Agni. Okay, who are those gods? Indra, Varuna, Mitra, and Agni. See, don't worry, we'll discuss about the Rigveda comprehensively when we are discussing Vedic age, okay? Vedic literature. So, the word Arya, it is mentioned 36 times. Rigveda, it has 1024 hymns, and Indra, Varuna, Mitra, and Agni are the important gods for whom hymns are dedicated to in Rigveda. Okay. Then apart from that, apart from this literature, to know about the Aryans, to know about the early Aryans, we even have the inscriptions. There are some inscription. Okay. So the earliest inscription, okay, the earliest inscription written in Indo-European language, we found it somewhere around 2200 BC in Iraq. Okay, जो Indo-European language की में लिखी गई earliest inscription हमें इराक में 2200 BC के अराउंड हमें मिलती है. And then we have the Hittite inscription of Turkey. टर्की की जो हिटाइट इंस्क्रिप्शन है वो हमें मिलती है. देन वी हैव कैसाइट इंस्क्रिप्शन. दिस कैसाइट इंस्क्रिप्शन, इट फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम इट यूजेस द वर्ड आर्यन. ओके, it mentions the word Aryan for the first time. Okay, Kassite inscription. Then we have Mittani inscription. Okay, Mittani inscription somewhere around 1400 BC. This Kassite inscription is around 1600 BC. Then Bagaskoi inscription. Bagaskoi inscription in Turkey. Mittani inscription in Iran. See, these are some of the most important inscriptions which talk about the presence of Aryan. Okay, they mention the word Aryan. They even talk about the wars which were fought by the between the Iranians and the Aryans और Iranians के बीच में कौन से कैसे वॉर चली थी वो भी इस इंस्क्रिप्शन में मेंशन है. तो these are some of the inscriptions. What are those? Earliest inscription of Indo-European language, we found it in somewhere around 2200 BC. Then we have Hittite inscription, Kassite inscription, Mittani inscription, and Bagaskoi inscription. Okay, these are some of the most important inscriptions. Then when we again come to the Rigveda, see, Rigvedic people in Rigveda, the Aryans, they have mentioned about rivers. Okay, they have mentioned about rivers, and even they have mentioned about their knowledge of crossing of rivers. Okay, they have idea about crossing of rivers, and in Rigveda somewhere around 41 rivers have been mentioned. Okay, somewhere around 41 rivers have been mentioned around in Rigveda. See, जब भी हम लोग देखते हैं कि ऋग्वेदा में 41 रिवर्स मेंशन की गई हैं, इसका मतलब ये है कि पीपल ऑफ ऋग्वेदा, ओके, आर्यंस, दे हैड नॉलेज अबाउट दीज रिवर्स. ओके, वो उस रिवर्स के आसपास वो लोग घूम के आए हैं. ओके, वो लोगों ने उस रिवर लाइक they have went to that river. Okay, they have went to that river, they have stayed there, they have knowledge about these rivers. Okay, that shows that they have knowledge about these rivers. They have mentioned 41 rivers. Some of the rivers I have given here. Okay, you have to remember these rivers. See, this is a Rigvedic name. Okay, then this is a modern name, and this is a region from in which the river is present. The river Sindhu, it is a Rigvedic river Sindhu. The present name is Indus and it is present in Punjab. Then Vitasta, which is Jhelum river, it is present in Punjab. Then Askani, Chenab, present in Punjab. Then Vipas, Bias river. Then Parushini, it is a river Ravi. This river is very important, okay. Sutudri, Satlaj, Saraswati, Drishadwadi, Ghaggar river. Then we have Kuba, present day Kabul, and then Suvastu, Swat valley. Okay, we can say Swati or Swat river. So these are the Rigvedic names for the present rivers, and these are the regions. You have to remember this chart, okay? Because in prelims examination you can get match the following. Okay, they can ask you this in the form of match the following. So please try to remember it. If you revise continuously, definitely you can remember it. Okay, then this river. Okay, so along the banks of this river Parushini. Okay, along the banks of the river Parushini, which is nothing but river Ravi river. This river Ravi, it is a tributary of Indus river. Okay, so along the banks of the river Parushini, a great battle. Okay, the battle of 10 kings was fought. Okay, the battle of 10 kings was fought. This battle, okay, this battle of 10 kings, it is known as Dasaragna. Dasaragna was the battle of 10 kings. See, in our previous slides, when I was discussing with you about Aryans were the people, okay, Aryans, they were a linguistic group. Okay, they were a linguistic group. It had different tribes, okay, it had different tribes, and Aryans, they usually had conflict they had conflict with two different groups of people. One was they used to have continuous conflict among themselves, okay, among the tribes, among their own tribes they used to have conflict, okay. Then at the same time they used to have conflict with the non-Aryans. तो Aryans जो थे वो एक linguistic group है और उस लिंग्विस्टिक ग्रुप में बहुत ही प्रकार के अलग अलग ट्राइब्स थे और आर्यंस यूजुअली अपने ओन ट्राइब्स से भी मतलब इंटर ट्राइबल वॉर्स भी चलते थे. एट द सेम टाइम नॉन आर्यन से भी वो लोग लड़ा करते थे. तो ये वॉर उसी प्रकार की है. इन दिस वॉर वी कैन सी टू ग्रुप्स. वन इज द भरता क्लैन. See, this Bharata clan, it is very important because the word Bharat, India, it is also known as Bharat, right? So the word Bharat, it comes from this particular clan only, okay? इस clan के ऊपर ही हमारे इंडिया को भारत भी कहा जाता है. तो भारत, Bharata clan and a group of 10 kings. In this 10 kings, 5 were Aryans tribe and 5 were non-Aryan kings. See, whenever I am saying it's king, okay, king मतलब आप present day king का concept मत लीजिए. We are talking about the chief, okay, tribal chief. उसे ही हम लोग king कह रहे हैं, okay. So Dasaragna was a battle of 10 kings between Bharata clan and the 10 kings. 5 were Aryans and 5 were non-Aryans. Who won the battle? Bharata clan won the battle. Then after winning the battle, this Bharata clan, one of the Aryan clan who lost the battle, that was Purus. So Bharata clan and the Purus, they came together and formed a new clan called Kurus. And then Panchalas. Kurus and Panchalas, they together ruled the upper Gangetic plain, okay. They together ruled the upper Gangetic plain in the next later Vedic age, okay. Later Vedic age में जो क्लैन बनी थी कुरूज और पांचाला, वो दोनों मिलके उन्होंने अपर गैंजेटिक प्लेन में लेटर वैदिक एज में एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले किया है. दिस कुरु क्लैन, इट वाज फॉर्म्ड बाय द भरता क्लैन एंड one of the other Aryan clan which lost the battle, that was Purus. Okay, Purus and Bharata clan, they together formed the Kuru clan. Kurus along with Panchalas, they together ruled the upper Gangetic plain during the later Vedic age. Okay, so this was it. Then we have to now discuss about the polity of the Vedic age. So when it comes to polity of the Vedic age, it was basically a tribal system. Okay, the tribal system of governance. So the political system of the the political system of the Vedic age, it was a tribal system of governance, and the basic unit of administration, okay, the basic unit of administration, it was family. Okay, family was a basic unit. Okay, family was a basic unit, and family, it was known as Kula. Okay, family, it was known as Kula, and head of the family was known as Kulapati. Okay, head of the family was known as Kulapati. Then group of families, they formed Grama. Head of the Grama was known as Gramani. Then group of Gramas, they formed a clan. Okay, which was known as Vis, and head is known as Visyapati. Group of Vish formed Jana, and head of the Jana was known as Gopati. Okay, Gopati. Then group of Jana formed Rashtra, which was a state, and head of the Rashtra was known as Rajan. So Rajan was the tribal chief. Okay, Rajan was a tribal chief. He was the head of the tribe, and the basic unit of administration, it was Kula, which was family. Okay, family, village, clan, Jana, Rashtra. Okay, so this is the way in which the territorial administration was divided. Then Rajan, we'll take Rajan. Rajan was who was this Rajan? Rajan was a chief. Okay, he was a tribal chief. Rajan, he was a tribal chief. He had only limited powers. Okay. First of all, you have to remember Rajan. He was a tribal chief, and in the Vedic civilization, we can see a system of monarchy. Okay, it was a patriarchal society, and monarchy was a system of governance. Okay, the system of governance it was followed, it was monarchy. We can see the presence of non-monarchical units also, but we'll discuss about them afterwards. But monarchy was a system which prevailed during the Vedic age, and Rajan was a monarch. Who was he? He was a tribal chief. And Rajan, the most important function, was of Rajan was to protect his people. Okay, he has to provide security to his tribe, protect their cattle, and even perform rituals on behalf of his tribe. Okay, he has to carry out religious practices and rituals on behalf of his tribe, protect them, and provide security to the cattle, and even fight battles for the cattle. Okay, because for cattle battles were fought. So this was a major function of Rajan, but the powers of Rajan, it was limited. Okay, when it comes to Rajan, he was elected. Okay, he was elected by Samiti. He was elected by Samiti, and he has limited powers. The powers of Rajan. So basically, the powers of Rajan, they were checked by two important committees. Okay, so the two important assemblies, they were Sabha and Samiti. See, Sabha was the was a committee. It was a very small committee, first of all. It had limited membership, and mostly the rich people, the elder people, they were part of this Sabha, and important officers, they were part of Sabha. And Purohit, he also attended the Sabha, and he checked the powers of Rajan. Okay, Purohit, he checked the powers of Rajan. I'll explain you who is Purohit afterwards. Okay, Purohit, he checked the powers of Rajan. Then the head of the Sabha, he was Sabhapati. Head of the Sabha, he is known as Sabhapati. Okay, what was the important function of Sabha? The important function of Sabha is that it has to carry out both political and non-political business. It even had judicial functions. Okay, it extended justice. Okay, it provided justice to the people. So it had both judicial functions. It carried out both political and non-political businesses, but it had only limited it had limited membership. It checked the powers of Rajan. The members of this committee, they checked the powers of Rajan. Okay. Then we have Samiti. The head of the Samiti, he was known as Pati or Isana. Isan. Okay. The head of Samiti is known as Pati or Isan. Samiti is nothing but Samiti. The meaning of Samiti is together, coming together. And Samiti, it is a national assembly. It's a kind of national assembly. It's a kind of national assembly, because in Samiti we can see the participation of both common man along with brahmanas and even the rich patrons. Okay, तो समिति में सभी लोग आते थे. और समिति का इम्पॉर्टेंट फंक्शन क्या था? समिति का एक बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट फंक्शन ये था कि it elected the Rajan, he was elected by the Samiti. That is the reason why Rajan, he was responsible to the Samiti. He had to attend the meetings of the Samiti. Samiti के meetings Rajan को attend करने ही पड़ेंगे. अगर कभी भी चूक हो गई, okay, if sometimes if he doesn't attend the Samiti के meetings अगर Rajan attend नहीं किया तो he was seen with an eye of suspicion. Okay, it was considered that he is doing some kind of corrupt practices. That's the reason why he is not attending the Samiti. So the attending of Samiti, it was a kind of obligation for Rajan. He has to attend it. And Samiti, it is a very important organization to keep a check on the powers of Rajan. If Rajan is not performing well, the Samiti can remove Rajan and appoint another Rajan. Okay. The mention of Samiti, the presence of Samiti, we can say, it has been mentioned in Rig Veda, even in Atharva Veda, and even in the Chandogya Upanishad. Okay, even in the Chandogya Upanishad, there is a mention about Samiti. That shows that Samiti, it lasted for a very long time. And at last time, the word Samiti or the functions of Samiti, it has been mentioned somewhere around 600 BC. That was the end of the later Vedic age, right? So later Vedic age के end तक भी समिति का important role था. Okay, so this was about the Sabha and Samiti, two important organizations which assisted Rajan in carrying out his functions. Then apart from Sabha and Samiti, we had other two important assemblies, that is Vidhata and Gana. So these were two important assemblies apart from Sabha and Samiti. And women they participated in Samiti, Vidhata and Gana. They were not part of Sabha, but they participated in all these assemblies. Then after that, now we have to discuss about the military. Was there a military present? So when it comes to the military, there was no standing army of during the time of Vedic age. Okay, the Vedic age king Rajan, he doesn't had any standing army for himself. There was Senani. Okay, there was Senani. His office was very important. He was army chief. But there was no standing army. Whenever war happened or whenever there was whenever they have to carry out a battle, they used to bring in different militia. Okay, they used to muster in the militia and fight the war. And different military groups such as Gana, Vrata, Sarda. So different military groups, they carried out different military functions. Okay, तो इसका मतलब क्या है कि आर्मी चीफ तो था, ओके, सेनानी, ही वॉज एन आर्मी चीफ, ही वॉज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट ऑफिसर, आर्मी चीफ था, बट एक स्टैंडिंग आर्मी नहीं थी. ओके, जब भी वॉर था अलग अलग ट्राइबल ग्रुप्स को बुलाया जाता था, उन्हें ट्रेन किया जाता था, और उन्हें ऑलरेडी ट्रेन किया होता है और उन्हें उनसे ही वॉर लड़वाई जाती थी. तो दिस वॉज अबाउट द मिलिट्री व्हेन इट कम्स टू मिलिट्री. देन वी हैव ऑफिसर, इंपॉर्टेंट ऑफिस कॉल्ड पुरोहित. He was a, we can say, he was a head priest, we can say. So पुरोहित को हम एक head priest कहते हैं, कह सकते हैं. See, पुरोहित, he played a very important role because he assisted the king. He acted as a friend, philosopher and guide for the king. He even checked the powers of the king. Okay, powers of the king भी check किया. कैसे? Because पुरोहित, he attended the sabha, and sabha, major function of sabha, it was to check the powers of the king and limit the powers of the king. So Purohit, apart from helping king, apart from assisting king in his day-to-day functioning, Purohit, he even encouraged the king to carry out different actions, like go for war or invade another tribe. So that was also done by Purohit. He encouraged the king to expand his area of influence, and Purohit, he was given even some part of the war exploits. War exploits means war जीतने का बाद जो भी मिलता था उसमें भी पुरोहित को एक पार्ट मिलता था. ओके, पुरोहित was given a part of war spoils by the king. And even the other important function of purohit was to carry out religious rituals, help king in carrying out the religious rituals. Then after purohit, now we have to talk about the tax collection. See, during the Rigvedic age, we don't have a separate officer who used to collect taxes. Okay, tax collect करने के लिए एक separate officer तो था नहीं, but एक tax हम लोग देखते हैं जिसका नाम है बलि. Okay, बलि was a tax, but this tax, it was a voluntary tax. Okay, it was a voluntary tax. जो बलि टैक्स है वो एक वॉलंटरी टैक्स है, एंड इट वॉज गिवन इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ग्रेन्स. ग्रेन्स के माध्यम से ये टैक्स दिया जाता था, और जो भी बलि है वो इट वॉज 1/6 ऑफ योर प्रोड्यूस. वो बलि वॉज 1/6 ऑफ योर प्रोड्यूस. इट वॉज अ वॉलंटरी टैक्स एंड इट वॉज गिवन इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ग्रेन्स. ओके, then so this was about the tax collection. Okay, so here we come to an end to our class. In our class we started our discussing about the nomenclature. हमने nomenclature के बारे में discuss किया, उसके origin के around जो भी debates है वो हमने discuss किए. Then we discussed about the Rigvedic age, classification of Rigvedic age, its geographical extent. हमने different rivers के क्या क्या नाम थे जो ऋग्वेदा में mention किए गए हैं वो हमने discuss किया. Then we started our discussion with discussing the polity. So when you see the polity when you analyze the political structure and organization of the Vedic age, you can come to a conclusion that it was a tribal system of governance. Okay, there was a tribal system of governance. There was no properly organized civil, territorial or even judicial system, military system. ये कोई organized way में किया नहीं जाता था. They were present in the initial stages of development because people of Vedic age, they were in the stage of continuous expansion. Okay, they were in the stage of continuous expansion and they were moving from one area to another area, and because of that they were still present in a tribal economy. Okay, they were still a tribal economy, there was still a tribal governance system. Okay, ये हम लोग इस particular area से conclude कर सकते हैं. So this was it guys, this is the end of today's lecture, and in tomorrow's lecture we will be discussing about socio-religious and economic conditions of the early Vedic age, and we will also discuss about the Rigvedic gods. Okay, तो जो भी हमने आज डिस्कस किया है हमारे क्लास में, आप लोग इससे आगे भी अगर पढ़ना चाहते हैं तो आप लोग एंशिएंट इंडिया की जो NCERT है, RS शर्मा की, उसमें का वैदिक एज का पहला चैप्टर पढ़ सकते हैं, पहला चैप्टर वैदिक एज का. देन यू कैन रेफर बुक्स लाइक तमिलनाडु हिस्ट्री टेक्स्ट बुक फॉर एक्स्ट्रा रीडिंग. ओके, this is compulsory, you have to read this book, you have to read compulsorily, it is a mandatory study. Then apart from that, if you have time, you can add on some important points from Tamil Nadu's history. Okay, and themes in Indian history, that is also a compulsory book. If you have any queries, please comment down in the comment section, and study well, study hard, study smart, because smart work is very important, not only hard work, and crack any examination with confidence. Okay, thank you.